He'd blindfolded me and took me down long, tiny corridors, but I had no idea where I was going. As the drapes were drawn back, I listened. I felt the warmth of the sun on my skin for the first time, something I hadn't known I'd been missing until now. I inhaled deeply and nearly choked on some dust. Cleaning appears to have been ignored, as have so many other aspects of this place. As he took the blindfold from my face, a gravely and deep voice murmured, "You can open your eyes now." My mouth dropped open in wonder as I opened my eyes. There were millions of books in front of me, ranging from paperback to leather binding. The space appeared to be at least 50 feet tall, with rows upon rows of volumes from floor to ceiling. I was about to turn around and ask him what was going on when I felt a touch on my shoulder. I saw the scabs and boils when I looked down at it. "Please don't stare at me. This is your prize for your good behavior thus far." As he tied the chain to a pillar in the center of the room, he said slowly, "Since I wandered into this fortress, the other end has been connected to my ankle. When he attacked me and knocked me unconscious, when this creep trapped me in a dungeon, I was hunting for my father. My father was waiting for me when I awoke. His limbs appeared to have been ripped from his torso, and his face was frozen in a shocked and terrified expression. You are free to read as many of these as you want, for as long as you want. You're coming to supper with me." I exhaled a sigh of relief as I heard his footsteps fade away. He seemed to prefer tinkering with his gadgets over torturing me. His favorite item was a teacup, which had a small chip in it. He'd slashed my face and chest with that razor-sharp edge. He appeared to take pleasure in watching the scarlet blood soak my light skin. I once overheard him conversing with a clock and felt sorry for him, supposing he was more lonely than I believed. Maybe that's why he'd hinted to them about my falling in love with him and giving him an heir. I chose a random book and plopped down in front of the already lit fireplace. As I opened the front cover, a little tear trickled down my cheek. What a beast he is. And that is the end of that story. This one was titled She Was a Beauty. Hi there, how are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. My name is Angel, and I like all things mysterious. So I started December with a live stream, and I read the second half of my short story, A Thanksgiving Nightmare short story that I wrote. And then I also got back into the Christmas horror stories that we did from last year. But I'm going to keep up with the Christmas horror theme that we've got going on already. We're just going to keep that momentum going throughout this. These stories come from the book 50 Christmas Scary Stories by John White. So let's get into some Christmas horror stories. The first story is titled The New Neighbor. Alana steps outside, slipping the fleece jacket over her shoulder and into the chilly, crisp air. A warm container of cookies is in her hand, which she keeps close to her chest. Her boots crunch as they walk through the fresh snow. Alana thought it would be wonderful to introduce herself because the ancient house beside hers had finally found a new owner. After learning that the wife enjoys sweets, she baked sugar cookies and snickerdoodles. During the holidays, who doesn't like a few treats? She'd noticed a few school-aged youngsters hauling boxes into the house just a few days earlier, and she'd figured they'd also appreciate them. She steps forward and knocks twice on the bright red door, appreciating the elaborate brass door knocker as she does so. The door is answered by a middle-aged woman in her early 40s. Her apron is sprinkled with flour and dark red stuff, and she greets you pleasantly. I bet you can't even see it, but the light is flickering and I don't know why. Can. Well, it wasn't doing that the whole time, so I've only come to introduce myself and brought you some cookies. She extends a warm welcome, her voice full of enthusiasm. Well, thank you very much, sweetheart. Karen here. Why don't you take a look around? I've got some hot chocolate ready in the kitchen if you'd like, she inquires. Alana couldn't say no to her since her voice was so loving and compassionate. Wow, it sounds wonderful. She accepts and enters the room. She washes off as much snow as she can from the boots before placing them next to the other pairs of shoes near the front door. What about Jimmy, Natalie, and Johnny? Come down and say hello to your new neighbor. Karen beckons up the long steps as they approach a tiny seating area. On the small television, The Grinch is playing at a low volume. The space is decked out in holiday decorations. A small Christmas tree is decorated in a corner with tinsel and ornaments. A gleaming garland hangs across the tops of the walls, with a few small trinkets draped beneath. Three giggling little youngsters enter the room. A crimson ribbon holds up her silky blonde hair, and she has a gentle face. Hello, miss. My name is Natalie. She shakes Alana's hand and introduces herself. My name is Alana, and it's lovely to meet you, she says with a smile. And who do you think you two are? Alana swivels around to face the boys. My name is Jimmy, and I'm Johnny, says the other, responding to the first. They're twins, Natalie continues. Both had the same dark brown hair and celery green eyes, which was evident. Jimmy is dressed in a bright green shirt, whereas Johnny is dressed in a deep crimson shirt. Well, it's nice to meet all of you. If you want some cookies, I have some. Alana responds with a yes. Natalie's eyes brighten, and she snatches the warm cookie container from Alana's grip. She hurries over to the kitchen, beaming. I hope you enjoy extra whipped cream, since that's how I make it. Karen sings as she brings a plate of hot chocolate into the room. That appears to be very delectable, Alana compliments the family, remarking on how unbelievably lovely they are. Let's get some of those cookies to go with our cocoa, boys. Karen enters the kitchen, herding the lads in. Alana smiles as she watches the boys and their mother stroll together. Alana places her cup on the table and looks down the corridor for a bathroom. Her breath caught in her throat as her gaze flitted across a red splattered strewn across the back wall. She bites her lower lip and prays for the best. Dear, is there something wrong? Karen inquires, unexpectedly appearing. I was just waiting for the hot chocolate to cool. No, I was waiting for the hot cocoa to cool. Her voice is urgent, and she takes the hot cup from the table. The little kids dash back into the room and sit across from Alana on the couch. They eat the cookies quietly, smiling gleefully, the vision etched at the back of her mind still. Do you have a restroom that I could use? Standing, she inquires. Oh, sure, follow me, Karen responds. She walks Alana along the awful corridor, straight past a room with a body splayed on the floor. A piercing pain rips through Alana's back, bringing her crumpling to the ground. Thank you so much for the cookies, Karen giggles uncontrollably as she walks over her new neighbor's limp body. And that is the end of that story. So, the lesson from that we can take from this story, right, is going to be don't take fucking cookies to your new neighbor that moves in, okay? Because you don't know how these people are. Watch them for a while. Say hello, wave, be nice and friendly, right? Don't take cookies, and definitely don't go in their fucking house. You know, you just might end up with a knife in your back, okay? There's that. Anyways, the next story is called What They Don't Tell You About the Dead. I don't want to come across as a jerk, but the dead are dumb. They've always been there for me. Everyone used to think I was chatting to imaginary buddies when I was younger. After a few years, I realized who I was talking to when I overheard my parents discussing calling a psychiatrist. See, ghosts don't usually realize they're dead and don't look like they do in movies. Instead, they resemble humans. For a 13-year-old, I'm pretty bright, so I started noting patterns to tell them apart from the living. They could be aloof from the living people, or you might witness them attempting to converse with individuals who don't even notice them. Some of them sensed that I was different, that I was paying attention to them, like this guy I saw yesterday after school. Now that I'm a big boy, I don't need my parents to pick me up. Home is only a short walk away. I knew he was one of the ghosts because he stood apart from the other parents, didn't speak to them, and gazed at me. I approached him, told him who he was, and asked how I could assist him. After that, I don't recall anything, maybe because of what happened this morning. My parents were sobbing downstairs. I attempted to communicate with them, but they were unresponsive. They must have perished last night because new spirits would not share with me. Some cops and reporters have just come, but won't speak to me or my parents. It's strange, since I've never seen so many spirits in one place before. Why isn't anyone willing to talk to me? And that is the end of that story. So, he mentioned in the story that ghosts don't look like shadows or mists or whatever. I don't know what it is, dude, but I've seen my mom twice and she looked like my mom. Like like she was there. She was standing there. The day she passed away, that same night, I was in my bathroom and my mom showed up right here next to me. Okay. Only for, you know, I would say a couple seconds. She wasn't there for very long, but she was there. Looked just like herself. When we did our family Thanksgiving, I seen my mom again at my sister's house. She was in the dining room with us. And I really feel that she made herself known that day because the last few years she had spent Thanksgiving with her family down south and we stayed here. So I think she made it a point to show up for Thanksgiving this year because I was really upset that she didn't spend it with us last year. So, enough of that sad stuff. Let's get into another story, shall we? The next one is called A Message from Your Demons. Hello, my sweetheart. You have no idea who I am, yet I recognize you. I am one of the three demons who were assigned to you when you were born. Some people are born to achieve greatness and live happy, satisfying lives. I'm afraid you're not one of them, and it's our responsibility to ensure you're not one of them. Who are we exactly? Oh, of course, how impolite of me. Let me introduce you to our group. Shame, the monster on your left shoulder, is my younger brother. Shame tells you that you're weird, that your thoughts aren't every day, and that you'll never fit in. When your mother discovered you were playing with yourself as a child, shame whispered in your ear. Shame is the force that causes you to despise yourself. Fear has taken up residence on your other shoulder. He's my older brother, and he's as old as time. Fear transforms every stranger on a dark street into a murderer, filling every shady nook with monsters. You're afraid to tell your crush how you feel. He advises you that it's better not to attempt than to fail in front of others. Fear causes you to construct your jail. So who am I? Even though I am the worst of your demons, you regard me as a friend. Because I reside in your heart, you turn to me when you have nothing else. I am the one who makes you suffer. The one who makes your suffering last longer. Sincerely, Hope. And that is the end of that story. And you know what? I think that one's kind of true too. It's kind of weird. I think we can learn a lesson from that is that we tend to beat ourselves up, right? And push ourselves too hard. Or we're too afraid to try to do something different because we might fail. I mean, failing's a part of life. We're not going to be perfect at everything, right? So, the next story is called A Nap in the Car. I already read this story. This one's brutal. Woosah, woosah, woosah. You'll see. On Saturday nights, Mommy always leaves me and Daddy at home. And after supper, we always have ice cream in the car. Until I'm a big boy, I must sit in the rear seat. After my Barney movie, I went into the kitchen to see what Daddy was cooking for supper, but he wasn't there this time. According to a letter on the counter, Mommy and Uncle James were going somewhere together. I wasn't a very good reader, so I went to the garage to look for Daddy. I did what I was supposed to and closed the door behind me. Daddy is in the car, and he already had started it. We may be having ice cream for dinner tonight. Because I'm not yet a big boy, I sit in the back seat behind Daddy. He didn't say anything. Perhaps he can't hear me over the din of the car. I will take a nap on my way to get some ice cream. I'm feeling a little tired. And that is the end of that story, too. And if you guys can read between the lines and you know what happened here, it's pretty messed up. A little kid. The little kids always get me. It's always the little ones, man. They didn't even get a chance. Just it gets you right in the heart. It just gets you right there. Ah, it's anyways, on that note, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, I appreciate you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.